Okay, last video here. I have this radical all by itself over here. So I am going to square to get rid of the square root. So I get 2x minus 14. And x minus 7 times x minus 7. If you have to do your box to do it, do that. But remember, it multiplies to this outer number, adds to this number. And if you're doing the same thing by itself, hopefully that's something you can get used to doing. These need to move to this side. So I'm going to do the inverses. So I'll get 0 equals x squared. Let's see, I'm subtracting 2x, so it's minus 16x. I'm adding 14 to 49, so that is 63. Okay, so what multiplies to 63 adds up to negative 16. Well, I know they're both negative if they multiply to positive but add to negative. And let's see, it's going to be 7 and 9. 7 times 9 is 63. 7 plus 9 is 16. So set each of those equal to 0 and you solve. So I get x is a positive 7 and I get x is a positive 9. Excuse me, sorry about that. So either graph this side and see where they intersect, or plug both of them in and do your check. Okay. I will tell you, you don't always have extraneous solutions. And in this case, they both work. So I have an answer here and I have an answer there. Okay. Now, this next one is where it gets a little tricky. I have a radical by itself on one side, so I can square this. But that means I have to square all of this other side. The radical doesn't just go away and I have that minus 2. I don't do that. So I am going to multiply. I'm going to use my box. If I look at this as one term, okay, so this is square root of x plus 6 minus 2. I'm multiplying it by the square root of x plus 6 minus 2. Okay, square root of x plus 6 times the square root of x plus 6, okay, I'm filling in this box, is x plus 6, okay? That's squaring it when you multiply by itself. Negative 2 times that x plus 6 is negative 2 square root of x plus 6. This column, this row, negative 2 times the square root is negative 2 times the square root. You can't combine them. This row, this column, negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. Okay, so when I write this down, I have some like terms. I can go ahead and add that up to 10. They're both positive. So this side, I have an x. I added the constants, so 10. And then, oops, sorry. These two are also like terms. They both have a square root of x plus 6. Remember when we added radicals, if they have the like radical? So this would have been minus 4 square root of x plus 6. Now that was just this side here. So it needs to equal, I squared the other side and I have an x minus 2. All right, I still have a radical. So I need to get that by itself and square both sides again, okay? So we're going to do adding and subtracting first. So we move this and this. So I'm going to subtract both of those. So I get negative 4 square root of x plus 6. That didn't move. I subtracted x from x, so x is now gone on the outside there on the right. And I'm subtracting 10 from a negative 2, so I get negative 12. All right, I still want the radical by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. Okay, so I get square root of x plus 6 equals negative 12 divided by negative 4 is 3. Okay, now I have this radical all by itself, and I can get rid of the radical by taking it to the power of 2. So I end up with x plus 6. 3 squared is 9. And we finish solving for x by subtracting 6. So I get x equals 3. All right. It's important to plug it back in, make sure it works. Plug it into both sides or graph both sides, see where they intersect. I'm telling you right now, this one does work. But just be really careful on these problems where one radical does go away, but the other one won't because it's not by itself, okay? So what I want you to do now, actually, let me go back to my slides, is help me assemble my famous holiday snack mix recipe. It will obviously take a little bit of math because you're in math class. So you're going to do the practice on page 10 and 11. You're solving each equation, and that tells you how much of each ingredient to use. So optional extra credit is to make the snack mix. Okay, you can use substitute ingredients, but you must use the correct amounts, and you have to share a picture for extra credit, and you have to be in the extra picture, or in the picture to receive that extra credit. And I need to be able to count your ingredients. So let's make sure that's it. Yep. Okay, so that's all you need to do. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 required problems. You need A through G. H is optional on pages 10 and 11. If you have questions, I will be back on Wednesday for this class, and you can ask me questions then.